Hi folks, today I thought I'd show you my latest game that I've come up with. It is called Huron, Iroquois versus Huron. I might just change it to Beaver Wars. I'm still not sure. I think what I'm going to do, it is a state of siege game. It is about the Iroquois attacking the Huron and wiping them out. The Iroquois had guns that they obtained from the Dutch, and the Huron were unable to get guns from the French. The French would give them as gifts, but would not sell them in large packages. And eventually, Iroquois wiped them out. So this is state of siege game. The Iroquois are approaching Huron. I'm trying to keep them away. I've got a deck of 35 cards, and I'll just show you how we play. Card number 1, Beaver Wars. The Beaver Wars of the French and the Iroquois Wars were a series of conflicts during the 17th century in North America. So all my Iroquois are going to advance one. I shouldn't say my. They're all going to advance one. Supply is going to go up by 1. I start with 2 French aid, 2 supply, and 2 spirit. The French aid, when I use it, it's a free action. I can increase my dice roll modifier by 2. If I use the supply, I get an extra turn. And for spirit, I lose 2 to increase one of these by 1. So those are the 3 things. These are trade items I'm going to acquire. Every time I push a Iroquois back, I am going to reach in and pick up a trade item that I'm going to add to my collection, and I can bring it to the trade shop and swap it out for something. So as I sit right here, dice roll modifier -1 on the Mohawk, -1 on the Seneca. Mohawk to push back is a 3. The Onega is a 2. The Cayuga is a 2. I combined the Onondaga and the Cayuga. I stayed with Cayuga just so we don't have 2 words that start with O. And the Seneca are here. I think who I'm going to push back first is the Onega. And I'm successful. And I had to get higher than a 2. And I'm going to pick up a gun. So a gun is going to go into my trade items. And I push them back. I'll go after the Cayuga. I get 2 turns. And I am successful. So I am going to pick up a second item. And the items I just have in a cup. And I pick up a beaver pelt. So I'm going to go on to the next move, unless I want to do any free moves. My free moves are, I can re-roll a die, and I only get to use these once. So once I use it, I check them off. I can add 2 to the Huron roll, or the DRM against the Huron, or a free move back to the Iroquois army. So those are my French aid or French army tactics. I can also, this would take a turn, try and change history and add a 1 DRM for the rest of the game. So that is where, what happens if the French were actually to trade with the Huron and give them guns? I'd have to roll a 1 and try a 1 again. My third turn is a 1-2, but you have to do them in order. So it's a slight chance if you get desperate, you can try that. Next card is enemies. The Iroquois were pitted against the Huron, Northern Algonquins, and their French allies. You can see this is still a rough copy. The one you're going to download will have everything in ink. It won't be pencil. As I play the games, I make changes and adjustments. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. I know Grant Fines gave me some great suggestions for Plains of Abraham. So Anita and the Cayuga are both going to advance 1. My morale is going to go down by 1, supply down by 1, and military down by 1. Now, these have been changed. On the new board, they'll be called spirit, and military will be called French aid. Just add to more of a thematic reference. Now, all the Iroquois regiments are -2. So I don't know if I want to move anybody back. That's a pretty hard pushback. I think what I'll do is try and improve my supply. So I need to roll higher than a 2. And I do. And I think I'll try and improve my French aid. And again, I just had to roll higher than a 2 to bring those up. So that would be my 2 turns. Next, fur trade. The Iroquois wanted to expand their territory to increase their fur trade with the Europeans. And the Iroquois traded with the Dutch. The Dutchess was sold the Iroquois guns, which made a huge difference when the Iroquois attacked the Hurons. So the Oneida and the Mohawk are both going to advance one. And +2 on my morale. And -1 military, which is French aid. -1 on my supply. And again, dice roll modifier -2 on all the Iroquois. It's a tough modifier. I think what I'll do is, I think I'm going to try and improve my French aid and my supply again. So, roll here. I don't get that done. I'll try supply. And I do. All I needed was a 2 to move that up. Next, 5 tribes. The Iroquois were a confederacy of the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca tribes. The Oneida and the Cayuga will advance this time. +1 on all my resources, which helps. And my dice roll modifier, +1 on the Oneida and -1 on the Mohawk. So I think I'm going to go after the Oneida. So +1 modifier, I just got to get a 2 for them. So a 2 plus my modifier is a 3, so I move them back, and I also get a trade item. So now I have 2 beaver, and if I take a look at the trade shop, with 2 beaver, I can increase my supply by 1, or if I get 3, I can purchase a gun. And I think I'm going to try for a gun. With 2 guns, you can place 1 on the map and increase the dice roll modifier by +1. The gun stays in that spot until you're unsuccessful in pushing the Iroquois back. Then it's removed and put back in the cup. Or with 2 guns, I can increase my military by 1. So I think I'm going to try and get the 2 guns. So that's my first move. I'll try the Oneida one more time. I wonder if I should move back the +1 modifier. It makes it pretty easy to get some trade items. Maybe I will move the Oneida back. I get a 4 + 1, so I do. And I get another trade item. This time I get a longhouse. So with a longhouse, I can increase my morale. Or if I have 3 of them, I can increase my dice roll modifier by +2. So, do I take an extra turn here? Maybe move the Oneida right back and get another one. I think I will. I'm going to use my free turn. These moves are free. Going to the trade shop is free. I think I'll move the Oneida back one more time. And it's a 3, so I'm successful. And I pull a gun. So I now have 2 guns. And trade shop is free. So I think I'm going to trade my 2 guns. And I'm going to put 1 on the map. So when they get there, I get a +1 modifier to push them back. Seneca are close. I'm going to put it right here. So I lose my 2 guns. They both go in there. That gets put on the map. And so I have a +1 modifier when the Seneca get to that particular spot. Next card is the Iroquois. The Iroquois inhabited the shores of Lake Ontario, the St. Lawrence River, and parts of upstate New York. So the Cayuga and the Seneca are both going to advance. So the Seneca is here. The Cayuga are starting to get close. -1 in all my resources and -1 modifier in the Iroquois. So I think I'll use my +1 gun, and this, I need 4, 5, or 6 to move the Seneca back. Oops, and I rolled a 5, so that will move them back, and the gun stays. I also get a trade item for being successful, and I'm going to get a blanket. So I have a blanket, a longhouse, and 2 beavers. For my second one, now if I ever lose, so if I was to move them back and I roll a 1, if you roll a 1, you lose the first trade item, goes back in the jar. If it's a 2, whatever the last item you got would go back in the jar. So there are consequences to pushing back and not being successful. I think I need to move the Cayuga back. -1 modifier. Oh, that's tough. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 spirit to bring up a military. I'm going to use my military, a +2 on this. So I'm going to be +1 on the Cayuga, and that is a 6, so I'll push them back, and I get something from the trade items. So I pick up another beaver pelt. So now I have 3 beaver, and I think for 3 beaver, I'm going to purchase a gun. So I'm going to pick up a gun. So just grab a gun from inside of here, and I'll put it on my map for the 3 beaver. Not sure that was the wisest move, but if you get a couple guns and get them on your map, they can be pretty handy. Next one, Champlain. In 1603, the French explorer Champlain formed an alliance against the Iroquois and would not trade guns with them. Champlain then went to work with the Huron against the Iroquois and killed 2 of the chiefs with his gun. So once the Iroquois had never seen the gun when Champlain showed up, and when he shot the 2 chiefs, they retreated. They thought it was magic on how the chiefs were killed. So the Mohawk and the Seneca are going to advance. And all my resources go up by 1. And Oneida and Cayuga are +1 modifiers. So I think I need to go after the Cayuga in at least one of the turns. And I roll a 5, so I move them back, and I get something from the tray, get a beaver pelt. And I think I need to go after the Seneca while they are here. So it's going to be +1, and I need to get higher than a 3, so I am going to move them back. The gun stays there, and I also get something out of the trade item, and I pick up a longhouse. So now I have 2 longhouses, so I can increase my morale, or +2 on my dice roll modifier. I think I'm going to try and get the 3rd longhouse, so I'm just going to keep that the way it is. Next card, the Dutch. When the Dutch arrived in 1640, they established a trade with the Iroquois, and the Iroquois were able to get guns. The French, though allied with the Hurons, would not trade them guns. So the Mohawk and the Seneca are going to move. -1 on my morale, or my spirit, and -1 on the Mohawk, the Seneca, and the Oneida. So I may lose my dice roll modifier, but I need to use it now. I'm thinking to push them back, so I'm going to need 3 or higher on the Seneca, and I get a 3, so that is not going to push them back. I'm going to lose my gun, and on the 3, I'm going to lose my last item, so I'm going to lose that longhouse. 2 or a 3, you lose your last item. My second turn, man, Mohawk is a -1. I got to start pushing them back at some point. I just don't want to lose any trade items. If I'm going here, I'm going to need a 5 or a 6. Because a 4 would change it to a 3. I think I'm going to move the Cayuga back and roll a 2, so I don't move them back, and I will lose a beaver pelt. So that kind of hurts. Next one, trading. The Iroquois had expanded their hunting territories to satisfy their trading needs. By 1630, the Iroquois had become fully armed with European weaponry through trading with the Dutch. I need to change that up. The Cayuga and the Oneida are going to both move. My morale goes down by 1, or my spirit, and my supply goes down by 1. My modifier +2 on the Oneida, so I may want to push them back, but I need to get my spirit back up, because if it's at 0, I only get 1 move. So I'm going to roll here. I do move it up, so I get my second move. Who am I going to push back? I think maybe the Oneida. Push them back with the +2. Might as well take advantage of that, and I do. Maybe I should have moved the Mohawk. I get a gun, so I now have 2 guns. Can improve my military by 1. If I get 1 more gun. Oh, no, I have 2 guns. I can increase my modifier by +1. I think I'm going to get rid of my 2 guns, and I'm going to put it, I think I'll put it right here. Yeah, because the Seneca gets stronger on the lake. Notice the Mohawk gets stronger in the mountains, and then when they get closer out in the open, so it goes down a little bit. Let's see here. I forgot what I was doing. I lost track of my turn. Did I take my 2 turns? I don't think I have. I am going to push. I am going to try and push back the Seneca, I think. And a 4, and my modifier is a +1, so I will push it back, and I get a trade item for that. So I get a gun, and I think I'll push back the Mohawk. This is risky. Oh, it's a 1. So I don't push him back, and I lose the first item in my trade. So I lose my longhouse. Next one is new weapons. With their newfound weapons, the Iroquois attacked their traditional enemies, the Algonquins, the Mohicans, the Montagnais, and the Huron. This brought the French into the conflict with the Iroquois. So the Mohawk are going to advance through the Oneida, and nothing on my supply board. Mohawk is -1, Seneca -1, Cayuga -1. I think I need to go after the Mohawk. So I'm going to use one of my French aids, so a +2 modifier. So that changes into a +1 on the 3. And I get a 4 +1 is a 5. So I push the Mohawk back, and I also get, this time, a longhouse from the trade items. My second move, I think I am going to bring the French in. So you can bring in help from the Mohicans, Algonquins, and I am going to put that right here. So for the Mohawk to move to this spot, they're going to have to roll a 5 or a 6. So you can bring in help, but that is a turn. So I'm going to bring that in. I also have some free turns that I can use here too. I can automatically move them back. I use a +2 maybe to move the Seneca back. Maybe try and roll a 1 to change history. That would get a +1 for the rest of the game, but that's kind of a risky move right here, and I seem to be doing okay so far. I think I'll cut the video here pretty quick. What have we gone, 17 minutes? I think you get the general idea of the game. I'll do one more move. Next one, beaver pelts. The expansion of the fur trade declined the beaver population. Because of the growing scarcity of beaver pelts, the Iroquois moved north to supplement their trade with the Dutch. The Mohawk are going to move, and so are the Seneca. So the Mohawk going to move, the Seneca move here. Now, the Mohawk have to roll a 5 or a 6 to move into that spot to defeat the French. I brought the French in to help, and it's a 1, so they do not get to advance. The French hold them off, and for my 2 moves, I'm going to have to push back the Seneca. So I have a +1 here. Ooh, so my +1 into 2 is a 3. I don't move them back. So I lose the gun, and they stay there. And I also lose an item from my trade, as if you roll a 2, you lose the last item in your trade items. My second move is going to be Mohawk is -2. I don't know if I want to take them. Yeah, Seneca, I forgot about the modifier there. Maybe we're going to move back the Cayuga. So try moving them back. Oh, I don't move them back, and I lose item number 1. So I think I'm just going to stop the video there, guys. You sort of get an understanding of how this game works. State of Siege game. You act as the Hurons, and you're competing against the Iroquois. So you work your way through the deck, and you have modifiers as you go. Again, some of my free actions at my disposal is a reroll, and once you use it, you can't use it anymore. This is request aid from the French. I could do a +2 modifier on any roll, but again, once it's done, it's gone for the game. So I probably use them when it gets a little closer to the fort, or a free move back. I can also change history, as I said. The other thing that comes up is ambush. You can ambush these people wherever you would like, depending upon ambushing them in the plains or on the water, which isn't all that successful, or in the mountains. So you have ambush tokens at your disposal. As they start to get closer, get a little bit more pressure. As I said, you have the Algonquins and the Montagnais can come in for help, but again, it's a one-time thing. So if I brought them in here to fight on the water, they rolled a 5 or a 6, that help would be gone for the rest of the game. So you do have some choices to help you fight these people off. I'll see if I can put this into a PDF in the next few days. I leave for Prague. I'm watching my granddaughter dance for Team Canada on Saturday. I'll be gone, so you won't hear from me for a couple of weeks. But this is the Iroquois versus the Huron, a new State of Siege game. Thanks for listening, folks.